It's going to be a very short welcome to everybody before I turn back over to Ken, but thank you all very much for coming again. I know, same as last week, there's a few people that will be joining us but can't make it again this evening. So our numbers continue to grow, which is absolutely excellent to see, and it's just lovely to see everybody back again. And Ken, I will now hand back to you. So
this is in my district role that last time we asked if there were nominations for President, Secretary and Treasurer. Well, I've had nominations for all three, but only one of each. So just 1 second, Sarah Ann is just joining us.
Well, that's good.
So we'll just let her come in. So,
hi, Sarah Ann.
Hello. Hello. So
the nomination I've received for President-elect is Don Chalmers. Am I likely to get any other nominations for that? Speak up now. Get off your knees, Don. Then if there are no other nominations, then we'll propose Don for that. I received a nomination for Secretary for Paul Lawson. Are we likely to get any other nominations for that? They're shaking of the heads all over the place. Then we'll put that in the form as well. And we needed a treasurer, and I've had a nomination for Sarah Ann to be treasurer. So I'm assuming, Sarah Ann, you agreed to this. Good. That's what I like, a nod. Is anyone else likely to want to be treasurer? Sure now. It's okay, Alicia, you'll get next year. That being the case, then, and there are no other nominations, I will get the forms filled in and get the 3 volunteers to sign them off, and we'll put that forward as a provisional club. We needed the nomination so we can go forward with a provisional club. One thing I do want to say about this, you know, the numbers are coming up. That's great. I would encourage you to keep pressure on that. Invite friends. Tell them to come in 2s and 3s, because if they come in the row, and they might feel overwhelmed, but if they come in 2s or 3s, they can contribute much easier. So encourage them to come in 2s and 3s, and we'll very easily get the numbers. I would love to see the numbers been up at 20 this month. That'd be great. So Dawn, it's back to you. My bit's finished.
Thank you very much. The phrase "done up like a kipper" does spring to mind. Yeah. Thank you. That's Ken. Okay, so I think I get to pass it back now to Paul. He's going to give us an update on his recent communications, membership and the social meet.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's well. So, membership forms received so far. Oh, and here's one joining now. Excellent. Good evening, Mr. Colley.
Can't quite hear you. Can now.
Good evening, Steve.
Hey.
Well done in being elected as President, Secretary and Treasurer. Excellent. I told you just to arrive 5 minutes late.
I was a little bit confused. I was on other stuff, so we got here now.
Welcome, welcome. So I was just going to say, in terms of membership forms received, as of, well, the last time I looked just before tea, we currently have 11 folk that have filled in forms or indicated that they will be joining this new venture. So I think, as Ken, I would just reiterate what Ken has just said. So if anybody has forgotten to fill a form in and intends to do so, could they please do that? I think everybody should have my email. If you've lost your form, or if it's hidden somewhere, then I'm sure I can provide another one. So that's excellent. And I agree that if we can aim to get up to the 20 in the next 29 days of March, that would be great. So the other piece was around the poll to meet up socially. I think the last time there was a unanimous vote for folk to actually meet up socially. So thanks to Ken, we've done a poll, and so far 10 people have responded. So if you could pencil these 2 dates into your diary, and we'll get back to you on which date we actually go with. So it's either the 13th of March, i.e. in just over 10 days time. So that's, both of these are Saturdays, 13th of March or the 3rd of April. And I think everybody's plonked for either Italian or traditional British, whatever that is when it's at home. So if you could hold those 2 dates in your diary, and we'll get back to you. If there's anybody that hasn't sort of said they want to come out and have Sunday lunch with us, sorry, Saturday lunch with us,
Yeah.
then sort of please fill in the form, and we'll do that. I think it would be good maybe just to get numbers by the end of this week at the latest, so we can actually get somewhere booked. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think I hand back to Dawn now, if I'm following the script.
Oh. You're following the script very well. That's good. That's a good start. No, it'd be really lovely just to meet everybody face to face, and we can have a chat through about things. Obviously, it's not going to be a meeting as such, but it would just be great to get to know each other a little bit better, find out a bit more about each other. So the next thing I was going to speak about tonight is Kids Out. You've maybe heard me talk about this before. I somehow got persuaded into becoming the new events convener. The old one was retiring. I agreed to this pre-COVID, and on the proviso that I got a year shadowing the other events convener before I took up the position. But then of course COVID hit, so the past 2 years it hasn't happened, and it's just been thrown at me now anyway. So I'm sort of finding my way around it at the deep end. Today I ended up phoning about Thomas the Tank Engine trains, so it's brought a bit of joy to my life along the way. So we have a video, a little presentation about Kids Out, just to let everybody see what it's about and how Rotary is involved in it, and hopefully it's something we can encourage all of us to become involved in. So Paul, if you have the little video, we can play that first.
Okay.
It's very short, I promise. You won't have time to make a cup of tea or anything. And we also have the link there that we can send out to everybody after the meeting, which gives you a lot more information about Kids Out too, and how it operates.
Is that connecting, Paul?
It's not working. Have you got the link, Ken?
No, I don't. Can you put the link in the chat, Paul?
It's not a Rotary meeting without a technical hitch.
Is Paul a co-host, Ken?
Not yet. Shouldn't make any difference. He is
Is
now.
that not working? No.
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 Can you put the link in the chat and I'll play it for you?
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Let me just stop this here first.
So basically Kids Out is its own charity, and it does organise a number of things throughout the year that different organisations assist them with. But the Kids Out Day in itself is something that traditionally Rotary has done with the charity. and it's always on the second Wednesday of June, although I see they're making that more flexible now, so so more people
Sorry.
become involved.
We'll master that for the next time.
Have you got it in chat now?
It's in there.
Yeah, yeah, it's there, yeah.
Sorry, Ken, I was just looking blankly at you.
Right.
I'm now hoping we don't have any more video links for this evening.
Goodness, come on.
Thank you, Ken. So you can see that the one they featured, they've actually gone to Thorpe Park. So really everything's sort of laid on at that. The one in Aberdeen, we invite all the events, and it's a lot of the same ones each year. Obviously, this year, there've been a few dropped out because of COVID. They're no longer in business, or it's just not viable for them to come along. So I suppose what I was finding out, first of all, is if we obviously I'm in there anyway, but if we as a group want to volunteer at that day, if there are people that can come along and take part in that, if you are free on the 8th of June,
So just
that would be excellent. They're always short of volunteers. Now, it's not 100% it's going to go ahead this year. We're still waiting for the schools to confirm, but everything is being booked in because restrictions are obviously lifting. So everything's being booked in as if it will go ahead. And to be honest, I can't really see any reasons why it wouldn't. So if everybody is free on the 8th of June to come along to that, that would be absolutely excellent. There'll be many tasks.
So just out of curiosity, what does Kirriemuir do? 'Cause I know there's different things in the south of the district.
Take it you're looking at David, are you?
I'm looking at Dave Hoskins or Neil Ferguson. What, is there anything happening down
Oh.
kind of your direction?
Nothing that I'm aware of, Ken.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've heard the kids out in the past, but not a great deal about it. So yeah.
So that's the Aberdeen one, but last time I was at it had 550 kids.
Mhm.
Huge event.
It's an enormous day, so as many people as can come along to volunteer and do things on the day. It's a huge number of children, and would be excellent. There was a real comedy moment. The police contact, he had obviously retired, and it was a new one coming on board. And I'd emailed, he'd got it, and then he's chatting away. Oh yeah, we can definitely do that. He said, what is it we provide? And I don't know, I was hoping you'd tell me. So it was very much a blind lead in the blind. But he's absolutely pulled it out the bag, because from saying, well, not sure, anything you can that's good, he's now sort of come up with the mounted police, a drone search and rescue team, and the mountain rescue Land Rover and all the bits and pieces to go along with that. And then I found out that in previous years all they provided was a police car. Well, we're winning this year. It's really, really good. So that would be absolutely excellent if people felt that they could come along this year. The other thing that you probably noticed from the video is they're now looking for Rotary clubs to do a second one in a year. And I wondered if there was any appetite for us as a unit to look at the one in December, which was the first Tuesday of December, if there's something we thought we could do. And it is a case of, I'll get Paul to send you out the link to the web page, but it is a case of sort of registering our interest to do that day, and they'll give us information. I think they also provide things like hats for the children and whatever. But it's just if anybody had any interest in taking that on as something for ourselves. Silence.
So there's lots of blank faces. Is it a yes or a no?
It doesn't have to be, it's never going to be as big as going straight in at the level of the one in Aberdeen. It's never going to be that. But it could also be something, because we're obviously not all close together. I mean, it's only sort of limited by our imagination what it is we do. Second week of December, sort of, or first Tuesday in December, sort of lends itself coming into a bit of a Christmassy type idea. But if everybody could have a think, if we would like to put ourselves forward to Kids Out, to do that as a project, and if we think what sort of thing we might like to do, could be in several different locations. It doesn't have to be in the one location.
I think it's a great idea.
Good. Thank you so much.
And it just it doesn't need to be massive or anything, just something for the kids, you know, and I suppose it could be as big or little as you want, as long as it's a day out for, you know, the kids, the target kids.
I mean, I think the one in Aberdeen is more geared towards children with additional needs.
Yeah.
So we could look at other areas. We could look at children that are accommodated, children that have been exposed to domestic abuse.
Yeah.
We could look at any of these other areas, tap into social work.
Yeah.
To find out what we could do to help out. But if you look on, I mean, the Kids Out website's great. It tells you what all other clubs are doing, what other organizations are doing to support them. So there's a lot of ideas on that page itself. But I just thought that might give us something to kickstart us to thinking about what we might like to do. So it's almost.
Yes, there's two. Sorry to cut. No, I was just going to say there's two trustees of the Grampian Transport Museum here, and I think we're planning to do something a wee bit different this year. and making it more of a Christmas. I guess it's only now that you've mentioned it, my brain was making that connection. So I think we're actually planning to do something at Christmas where we'll open, and there'll be a Santa's grotto, etc., and the museum will be decorated, etc. So I guess Kevin and I could maybe speak offline and get the date. So because I guess that's, whilst it's not the city, it's still sort of this general area, and that might be possibly might be easier, but it's not to sort of say we couldn't do a couple. Ever the optimist.
If they're going to be smaller scale, it could be, and to be honest, they're not going to be absolutely fussed that they have to be on the first Tuesday of December. All of them, we could do different dates. That's not set in stone. So no, that would be really good.
I like the idea of perhaps linking to what Paul's suggesting. I have two concerns, if I'm honest, Dawn. One is December in schools is busy. The amount of things that actually happen in schools themselves. And secondly, if we're looking for other Rotarians to help, you're going to be competing against Santa Sleigh and all the rest of it. So I think the idea is good. I like the idea of linking up perhaps with Paul and Kevin, what they're doing.
I'm sort of thinking of slightly different, because Aberdeen is huge and they coach children in, there's buses come in from lots of different schools, and I don't think we'd be starting at that sort of level, to be honest. It would be maybe a few children, but certainly not the hundreds that are coming into that's a very well established one. That's going to be held in Aberdeen, and of course it's just moved back to Aberdeen City. It's been held in Craibston for the past few years, but that's obviously been built on by Cala, so that's why it's had to move to the Gordon Barracks. But it could be very small things, small numbers of children. But if we had a link into the Grampian Transport Museum, that would be.
Can I ask, Sarah, does anything happen in the Inverness area about Kids Out? Could ring any bells?
Not that I know of, but I might just not know is the answer. I like the idea of doing something transport related as well. I think that, well, I'm a big fan of these Christmas trains. Getting kids on one of the trains that Santa's on, I think would be a lovely idea as well. Steam train maybe would be a nice one.
And there's nothing in Murray.
There's nothing in Murray either. So well, up this way, it sounds like in most directions there's definitely gaps. Anyway, so no, that'd be really good. We can give it some thought. The seeds are there. We just need to expand on our thoughts. But I think it will be useful for everybody to have a look at the website first, and you can maybe sort of pull some thoughts or ideas out of that. I think the charity that people are most familiar with at Christmas is the one that runs through the radio stations, Cash for Kids. And they do the Mission Christmas Appeal. So that's something I've been involved in previously, but that is also another thing that we can tie in with, because they ask for volunteers from other charities or organizations every year to help. It's not to distribute the goods, but they just get them in, all these toys in masses, and they come into a big warehouse in Alton's, and they just need people to put them into their various age groups and things. So they are desperate every year for people to come in, and you just go in for maybe like a 3 hours slot and help them sort out the toys. So that's possibly another thing that we could become involved in if people were keen, and that's in every area. So Sarah Ann, it would be the same up in your way. And it must be down in Kirriemuir as well, whatever the local radio.
I think Radio T.
Radio T does it, yeah.
Yeah, so they must. So that is actually something we could all do as a group, but in our in our own areas. So I think that might be quite a good thing to link us. Then we can do all our photos in our different places, all doing the same thing. That would be quite good. That's a nice idea.
I think there's a strength in that, Don, that we're looking at the Kirrimure area, Inverness area, and we are a district hub. So we could have Rotarians across the district focusing on the same thing. Yeah, because things are often duplicated in other areas, but that would be one of the main things that we could tap into in December, would be Mission Christmas. Okay. There was something else I thought of along those lines. I think this is maybe just sort of based up here, but every year the Serenians do a sleep out for the homeless. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. And that again is just groups of either friends or groups of other charities that go along, and what you do is you get your sleeping area with your cardboard on the ground, but then you put up your own banner behind that, and although all the money raised goes towards the Serenians, it just, you know, you're there as your organisation supporting another charity, and obviously for the homeless it's a very good one to be supporting. So I don't know if that'll sort of go ahead this year or not, but there's always a competition as to who can build the best fort with the cardboard boxes that you're meant to be sleeping on, and it's really a night of getting high on jelly sweeties and whatever else. There's never any actual sleep goes on, and it's good because it's properly organised by somebody else. There's first aiders there, there's hot drinks provided all night, food, whatever else. So all you really have to do is turn up with your sleeping bag, several layers, and your banner for your charity, and have raised a certain amount for them. So that could be something else that we could do as a collective. I wonder if Shara's going to come in, because she's done some work with the Serenians in the past.
Well, we did some work with them in Afford in the academy.
Okay.
But that was collecting backpacks that we all have in our house, in sheds and garages and things, and we collected them, and they also then collected toiletries and all sorts of things that could go in these. But I also was thinking in terms of a focal group for something that we might consider. Judging by what's going on in the world just now, there are going to be a considerable number of refugee families in many communities around and about, and I'm sure in Scotland there will be as many, you know, first Christmas away from where they reside just now, or did reside, and so that may be for a second one. They may be, dare I use the phrase, target audience, you know, of youngsters who've been, and their families who've been displaced.
That's something we can look into, is to, I mean, obviously that's a story that's kind of unfolding at the moment, so that's very much current, but that would be a good idea to look at something that's really current, and that we could maybe actively do something right now to help with, just to see what's needed. I know there's lots of collections going on to send over.
Yeah, there's loads, isn't there? Loads of trucks going over, because we put in a whole pile of stuff just past and it was going out today. So yeah, and then Shelter Box are thinking of doing, they're just planning what they're doing, aren't they? Shelter Box, they're just deciding what to do.
Okay.
Rotary should be coming out with a note just in the next day or so about the whole thing. And on Saturday afternoon, Dawn will get to hear this, but we've actually got a Rotaractor from the Slovak Republic who's actually on the border.
Okay.
And she's talking at the President-elect training on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, so will we wait till hear what Rotary's position is and what it's planning, and then make a decision on there what we could do then?
You can start thinking about it now, but the Rotary position on, because I know they've been speaking with Shelterbox, I've seen things on that in the background.
Okay.
But there should be something coming out from the coordinator for Britain and Ireland.
Okay.
So they've been trying to work in the background to say what's really needed, and where is it really needed. So they're trying to get hold of the Rotary clubs in Ukraine,
Okay.
and just find out what do you really need.
So that's probably going to be a case of us trying to collect what's needed and get it to the points where it's needed.
Potentially.
Yeah. Okay. Right. What does everybody think about that? You can nod, thumbs up, if that's something we think would like to get involved in. Yeah, cool.
So if you take that, Don, you take what you're suggesting about the Serenians, it's about making a difference to people's lives, and that's why we're in this organization.
No, absolutely, and that would be a really excellent thing for us to do, to get started. Okay, that's really good.
There's a Rotary Club in Kyiv. I just found it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess they're feeding into what's required. And, okay, that's fine. That's really good. Right. So we've got a few ideas there. So that's sort of coming from me. But I think what we really want to look at is a bigger discussion around projects that people feel they might like to support. So at this point, I think Paul has a template that I'll share, just to give us a few directions. But maybe it's worth, if anybody has anything in mind about a particular project or area they would like to look at, if they put it in the chat, and we can keep all these recorded and have it as a living document. Because I know last time there were people that came out with some very good ideas on projects and ideas that they would like us to see us doing as a group. So it would be really good to keep a formal note of all these and work our way through them and try and make them all happen.
Oh, could I maybe share something else first? Can everybody see this? If I'm allowed, Madam President.
It's a bit my tiara on.
So sort of folk will remember, or can everybody hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so folk will remember at a previous call, we talked about the 5 words, and earlier on this week, Kevin was very generous with his time to sit down with me, and hopefully this picture, Kevin, summarizes what sort of what we were talking about, is that rather than having the list of the words that we had, sort of these are the words that we came up with ourselves, but really I think it's just reinforcing what we've just been discussing, that service is at the center of everything that we do, and then around the outside we've then got the community, whether that's local, national, international. Yeah, we've got the friendship that we're now starting that journey on, inclusive and fun, and then the link between the skills, which we talked about at the last meeting, and then the projects that we're talking about now. So hopefully, Kevin, hopefully you're nodding your head, I can't see, but hopefully that fits with what we were discussing. Skills, I'll sort of send this round, but I sort of tried to capture, I didn't capture anybody's names against any of these, but you'll remember that folk were coming up with research, ideas, project management, etc., etc. And I was really struck by this sort of quotation, people with great passion can make the impossible happen. So I think whilst we're getting started, I think having that passion and that interest will start to make a difference, and then sort of take it from there. So let me stop sharing this, and then I'll put the template up. And again, and I won't leave this up for long, but it's more something that we can populate, as Dawn sort of said, as sort of we go along.
Ken has suggested a cookbook in the chat.
Oh, cookbook, it's a good idea. So this is something, yeah, well, we can do this, and apologies, it might look a wee bit complicated, but it's really just to capture all the ideas. So there's like projects, and then charities, and then sort of social things that we might want to do. So I think, as Dawn sort of said, maybe tonight, if we get something about what the title might be, yeah, so yeah, does it have a particular date to it? So like Kids Out, yeah, that sort of, we were discussing, we've got the June date and we've got the December date. So I'll maybe close this, and then if folk then just have, if we just have the chat, and then I can update this offline and then send it through. But it'll be projects, charities, and then sort of the social ideas that hopefully we'll get round to doing. So I'll close this now.
Oh, a virtual Santa sleigh. We couldn't even share that link on Kids Out. Now you're suggesting a virtual Santa sleigh. How do you see that working?
I've no idea.
You can't just come up randomly, throw ideas out there.
Well, Rotary clubs have been successful with virtual pet shows and virtual pet competitions, and they've actually been very successful.
Yeah.
Balloon races as well. They have done that as a fundraiser, but it's been fun for folk to do that. And Ken, there was a Rotary club came from, was it Cork in Ireland, and they talked about at the district weekly meetings they had a huge collection for charity with a giving tree, and they were. Right. And I mean, it was an eye-watering sum of money. It was about like £250,000 or something.
It was €250,000. It was the Rotary Club of Cork, I think you're right. And they used to have an actual tree, and then when COVID struck, they couldn't do the tree, so they actually developed an app so that people could get a virtual tile to go on, and they raised. Unfortunately, it wasn't pounds, it was only euros, but it was a 6-digit number. It's a huge number, and it's virtual.
Okay.
So,
and they would share that app. Might be for a small fee, but they'd be happy to share the app.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess when you're thinking of your own ideas, it's just thinking about what motivates you. You know, what are your passions? What would you like to see? Sarah Ann, don't ever scale back your ambitions. We'll have none of that talk here.
I think that's a great idea from Sarah Ann.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really good.
And 2 meetings ago, Sharon had a great idea about doing something for young people out in the hills.
Oh, it's just kids that had a hard time during COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to support them and help with their kind of mental health and stuff.
Yeah.
And if we could organize something for them to go outside. I mean, there's actually a lady here who's just done something similar, but for adults.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
and it doesn't really cost that much to do, really, either.
It was interesting this morning. I was watching television first thing in the morning, and there's a GP from Glasgow was on, and actually talking about the impact of COVID on young people's mental health. It was quite extensive. So
Yeah, there was a pupil of mine had she had some issues just before COVID, but they got really a lot worse, and she's never been back to school since.
yeah, I
She's
think that's worth looking at.
and I spoke to her during the time, and it was just really devastating for the whole family, really. She's still not been back.
And I don't think we've seen the full extent of it, because now it's the getting back to normal life anxiety, isn't it? After these sort of 2 years almost shut away, that's going to have an effect in itself. It's such a difficult time. So definitely those are two great ideas. Again, looking at young people. So.
Don, if you're going down the virtual route, there is a Rotary Club who've done a virtual duck race, and they have an app and they will share how to do that with you. It's for a small fee, and that small fee then goes to their End Polio Now donation.
Okay.
But, they will tell you how to do that and give you guidance.
We can have a look at that, the virtual duck race, because I think it's important as a club that we have some sort of fundraising ideas for our own club too, that we can then use. What was I going to say now? And the other thing we also need to look at is not just projects, but what sort of charities and small community groups people might like to support as a group. And we're sort of thinking about, I know we have foundation, but Rotary does always encourage sort of collaboration and working with other charities. So if anybody has any of their local small charities or community groups that are dear to their heart, if they also enter those in chat, and we can start to build up a list of those that we might look at supporting. Ken, could you, sorry, put you on the spot now. I know that Forest are doing a Dragon's Den type application for small community groups, but I'm not supposed to say that.
I'm not aware of it.
Are you not? Okay, so there's been spoken about an idea of a sort of Dragon's Den type idea, where we could ask small community groups and charities to almost make a presentation to us that are looking for support, and then we decide which ones we would like to support. But I think it'd be quite good if we had ideas in mind of which ones we wanted to come along to that, and then we can also ask any additional ones. What do people think of that as an idea?
There's some of the things, small grants, and I use an example of when there's a big downturn. I can't remember how long ago, it was before the COVID one, but there's a lot of people out of work, and somebody says, oh, I'm going to do gardening, but he'd no money, and the local Rotary Club bought an industrial lawnmower and gardening tools and everything, and actually set him up in business. And it cost peanuts, to be honest, but it saved somebody's life at the end of the day, and mentality, you know. It was so the Dragon's Den, come and make a pitch. I think you could really have some fun with that, and that could easily be done right across the whole district on the hub like this.
Yeah,
we haven't done the pitching bit and face-to-face, Ken, but Contour and Kemney for some years now have had something called Funds for You, and they set aside, it's either between £1,500 and £2,000, and local groups within certain criteria are asked to bid for the funds. And they might get £200, they might get £400.
Yeah.
It makes a difference to very small local groups. It's not intended for big charities.
No.
But it is intended. A local playgroup, for example, might want gardening tools, things of that nature. And that's been very successful and very popular.
Yeah, no, that's the sort of thing I'm thinking about. It's not bigger charities, it's small community groups, small charities that are struggling, that we think we might be able to support. I think that a lot of the national charities are really well supported, and they often have their own teams of people that actively go out looking for sponsorship and money, and they employ people to do these things. So I think it would be really good to focus on some of our local ones, and again, this can be district wide. It's not, which is keeping in with the ethos of what we do.
Yeah.
It's not tied to any particular area. If people want to make a bid, we can give them we can run sort of like sessions of it and just give them a time slot, and they'll get an allocated time. So,
and we could also tie it in with a Rotary club in their area as well, and just really broaden this out and tie ourselves in with them. Lots of different ways of making
that's a really good idea. Yeah.
Some good ideas in the chat there.
I'm aware there's stuff on the chat too. Busy talking.
I'm looking around the screen and just finding somebody that's not spoken yet, and so Steve Vickers hasn't said very much yet. But any ideas there, Steve?
Well, I did mention up there on the chat. I'm a bit of a green sort of guy, so I'm well into the tree planting. I think that's something else we could get the community involved in.
Sure.
Organise it. I think you mentioned about the Woodlands Trust. I think if you buy 20, they'll give you another 20 free. So you know,
okay.
There's advantages like that of working together. Sure. Well, in an area like where we live, there'll be some farmers somewhere with a bit of waste land who wouldn't mind, a bunch of kids turning up one weekend with some spades and a few twigs and making a little wood.
Yeah.
And they'll probably get a conservation grant from.
Yeah. I think exactly that. Yes, I think there would be advantages for them. Yeah. So I think if we looked around, there would be people who would find it attractive.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
Let me come off mute. Thanks. I'm totally, you said you were green, Steve. I think I'm totally green to the whole thing that you're doing. So I'm just here really to listen tonight. Two things. As Paul knows the sort of things that I do, and he knows that I'm involved in quite a number of bits and pieces at the moment, and my time's limited. So it might be that I can't do what you're necessarily looking for, and I'll think about that. But what I can do, and I will be delighted to do, is help with publicizing what you're doing, so that the profile of what you're doing goes up. That's my bag. It's what I've done. I've done the odd little thing for the local Rotary at Christmas time. Sure. To appear. However, I've spent a long time in the past working with the Archie Foundation, one of the founders of that, and I'm aware that covers a wide area of Scotland now, in Aberdeen, Inverness and Tayside, the Children's Hospital. So that anything that there's different things they do at Christmas time and other times, and some of the children that get the benefit of that, and children who need to go, I don't know, to the pantomime at Christmas time or something like that. That's the sort. I'm sitting here thinking you could do things like that. But you were talking about online, and my background's marketing, communications, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, what if the target audience, to use the phrase somebody else has used, if the target audience was young people, and young people have been struggling a little bit with them being inside, what could they do that's slightly different from what you've spoken about, that might get them fired up and interested, and could end up with a little bit of help with them, a bit, they get a bit of training out of it, they get some achievement, they get some pride and what have you. I was wondering about online, performing pets. Whatever they've got, you could set it up for them to do anything, whether it's a gecko that hangs by its tail, or a fish that does a somersault, or a dog or a cat or something like that, that was inspired, that they had to be theirs. There was age restraints or whatever it is, and they had to achieve it. and then they could come and do something with that. You could not only do quite a lot of good, and the kids could get involved in that and let some of their efforts be recognized at all different levels of children. But my goodness, you could get a heck of a lot of fantastic publicity out of that as well, because that's the sort of thing that will go viral. When you come up with something like that, it'll be fabulous if you get a good one. Anyway, so it's just, I'm not even beginning to understand some of the processes you have and things like that, and we'll get to do that. But it's things like that that I don't know. I just think that would focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
A great idea.
What do you think, Neil?
I really came along tonight to hear more about the actual setup. The things I've heard so far, like Cyrenians, well, that's linked to Dundee, and that definitely goes on there. Talking about the duck race, well, the Rotary Club of Kirriemuir run their own duck race at the moment, so it's I'm still a bit confused about the whole thing, to be perfectly honest. But what I was really wanting to get out of tonight was to know why other people are joining the hub. I didn't realise you were so far forward as talking about projects.
Yeah.
So let me try and summarise. I think there's a few Rotarians wanted to do it slightly differently from what they've experienced so far. And we wanted to create an opportunity for those that either can't make a lunch or an evening or whatever that's in their local area, so we can actually create something that's less formal, more fun. Paul showed you the key values that this group have come up with and how they want to see it. And this is a group as you've seen it, as you see it now, and there's several just not here tonight, couldn't make tonight, and that's fine. But that's why we record it, so they can catch up as well. So,
can I comment to Neil, Ken?
Sure.
Neil, I'm probably the longest serving Rotarian here. I joined Rotary in 1977. So I've been in 5 different Rotary clubs. So I've been through the whole gambit of weekly meetings, having to wear a suit and a tie, having to behave myself. We're going to fortnightly meetings. As you probably remember, I was district governor. I've eaten steak pie and rubber chicken in 90 Rotary clubs. And I've been international coordinator responsible for membership in Great Britain and Ireland. This is a way of expanding Rotary's horizons and letting people become Rotarians in a different way, not in a better way, just different. People maybe just don't want to go to weekly or fortnightly meetings with a meal nowadays. They just want to do something different, be much more relaxed. I mean, look at this. I joined Rotary, I had to be in a suit, collar and tie. We've changed and we're still changing. And unless we change, we don't have much of a future. So this is just my way of looking to a future that's different and keeping me interested in Rotary. Simple as that, Neil.
I think from Dave and I's point of view, because we're both here for the same reason, we don't like the idea that Kirriemuir became 2 separate clubs. And I find it very difficult to have good friends in the town in separate Rotary clubs. And all I'd be doing would be walking away from both to do something different in the hub. That's the one reason I'd be coming.
I think for myself, Neil, it was the fact that when I joined Rotary, I assumed that I was in Rotary as a whole, and I couldn't see why, when other clubs were doing great projects, I assumed that I could go and do those and didn't realise that I was actually tied to my club, and you have to stay with your own club and what they're doing. And I think what the hub offers is then that we can interact with all clubs, so we become one massive club as opposed to all these individuals, and break down these these barriers that people have put up, geographical barriers, that actually I don't see a line drawn on the pavements that says Eithin Valley this side, Old Meldrum this side, do not cross. But that's kind of how it is. And for me, I want to get rid of all that. And I think what we decided as part of this hub, because it's district, if I now want to go and join in some scheme that Inverurie are doing, well, I can go and do that.
Can you support Don of what you're saying just now? Because of my background and lengthy background in Rotary, I fundamentally believe in Rotary and being a Rotarian. I couldn't care less what club people are in, because I'm in Rotary, and that's what I've joined.
Dave Hoskins has got his hand up as well.
Yeah, I think some of the questions have been answered there. And like Neil, I've kind of come along tonight because of slight disillusionment, maybe isn't the right word, because of what's happened locally and the way it's happened. But is the hub going to be a way for members of other clubs to be in the hub, but still be associated with perhaps their home club, or is it a totally separate entity? I mean, I totally agree with what Roddy says, that, and I think, you know, a number of others will say the same. I joined Rotary to become a Rotarian and to do work where it was needed, regardless of where you're based.
Yeah.
I have no problem if I want to go and visit Timbuktu or wherever. You should be welcome, and if they're involved with something and you want to go along and help, then, you know, you go and do it. And you shouldn't be tied to a club. But I mean, one of my things that I'm thinking is, if, you know, the hub takes off and others in clubs see it working, are we going to end up with a number of clubs that are in existence now suddenly dwindling because members are moving into something bigger? I don't know. I'm throwing that into the pot. So
the experience is that, okay, let me answer 2-3 questions I think were in there. You can be a member of one club, end of story, but you can go along to other clubs, and there's one guy in the district, he's a member of Perth, I think it is, but he's also an honorary member of the Hub of Innovation, the E-Club of Innovation, for example. Nothing stops that whatsoever. This is an opportunity for those that might not want to be in a traditional club. They can join this one. Traditional clubs just need to be, as I call it, active and attractive to have their local members for those that want that. All we're doing, as Roddy says, is we're just creating another experience for potential future Rotarians.
And now, at the moment, there are Rotarians who are going to join the hub. But what we're also hoping is that non-Rotarians will join the hub.
Yep.
In other words, we'll try and grow Rotary, not just look for people transferring.
And Kevin?
I want to support that, because I know nothing about Rotary except the work that you do.
Yeah.
And I've known that for long enough with some of the other charities, and I've always admired that. And when Paul has asked me occasionally to help with a wee bit of thing, not a moment's hesitation. But I've no interest at all in being in a club that I have to attend every Tuesday night in a shirt and tie. Never, no interest to me at all. But if there's something like this where you can be part of it, and as you've said, you know, in a friendly nature, and go wherever the help's needed, that's of much greater interest to me. Whereas I'm genuinely still sat here tonight going, what can I do to help you, rather than do I have to become a member to do that? But we can develop that. That's what you've presented here is much more attractive to a person on the outside at the moment, like myself. So there's a real chance, I think, of getting some new people coming along, and every club in existence and all the ones I belong to are all saying, we need more younger people. We need more younger people. Well, if this is the medium in which they feel more comfortable operating, that's worth a try, I would have said.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I have two members of my family. son and a daughter, now in their 40s, which makes me feel a bit old. And they've known since they were tiny the good that Rotary does. I've tried on numerous occasions to get them to join Rotary. And the answer is always the same. You've got to be kidding, Dad. You've got to be kidding. Why am I going to commit myself to once a week or once a fortnight sitting down for a meal? I don't do anything.
So great discussion. Hopefully it's answered some of the questions. I'm really conscious of time because we keep this to an hour.
Oh,
so I'm going to put it back to you, Dawn.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just sitting there enthralled with the back. I do love a good debate. But yes, Kevin, you're right. It's looking to attract new people into capture their imagination and be something that people want to join into. So got a few ideas about that, maybe speak to you later. So I think that's that for this evening. We've got lots of things to think about going forward. Paul will send out links for all the bits and pieces of what we've discussed and look at Kids Out. I did have a brief thought there, sorry Ken, I'm going to overrun now, was when we were speaking about various things to do and somebody mentioned Panto in December. I wonder if our Kids Out in December could be something as simple as fundraising to pay for children's pantomime tickets. And that would be something really easy to do that we can do across every part of the district. And
Dave Hoskins has put in the box, Pitlochry Festival Theatre may be interested in supporting a panto or a kids show.
Yeah, well done, Dave.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, we've been up to the theatre quite a number of times with the club, and they've always been extremely accommodating. Okay. I'm not sure what they're doing this year. The last time we'd hoped to go was going to be Peter Pan and Wendy. I've no idea what they're doing this year, but we would take 20, 30 folk up there, no bother. And I know they're on sort of kids things as well. They're a charity. They've obviously worked hard through COVID to keep going, and perhaps it's something that we could be doing to help each other, and your kids getting the benefit out of it as well.
No, absolutely.
They may even do something if we've got enough numbers. They may even do something for Rotary.
Yeah. Would you be able to send Paul the more information on that you've got?
I'll make contact with them and see if we can get anything. I know we've had to pull money back from the theatre recently because of the way things have gone with tickets, but it's something that we're keen to continue supporting from the Kerry side. Okay. You and I have both experienced the panto up there or the show up there. It's always excellent.
No, yeah, the last one was Wizard of Oz. It was a great show. Brilliant. And they do matinee, which is brilliant from a kid's point of view.
That's excellent. Right, we might be on something there. Okay, so I think that's it for this evening. If we meet again in 2 weeks, how does that suit everybody?
Good idea.
And do we want what sort of night? A Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Monday? What suits everybody the best?
Wow.
Hands up for a Wednesday again?
Wednesday suits me.
Easy.
Easy.
I'll just try
Alicia?
and this time.
Wednesday? Alicia's checking.
Checking my diary, sorry. I normally go to singing on a Wednesday, but no. Oh, sugar. No, when 2 weeks in 2 weeks time when they do me on the Wednesday. Sorry.
Okay. How does Tuesday suit everybody?
Tuesday's fine with me.
Not nodding the heads.
You say no, Sharon, are you, Jaden?
I struggle on a Tuesday, but that's all right. I can catch up.
On Monday?
I work on Monday nights as well. No, it's fine. Just go with whatever most folk can do.
Well, as we suggested, we did suggest Wednesday first. So will we stick with that? And Alicia, if you can come along for a part of it, then make it in. Does that sound fair? Right, okay, we'll get that out. Sorry, we're well over time. I'll be in trouble from Ken. I'll be getting black marks. Thank you all very much for coming and enjoy the rest of your night. It's been great. Thank you.
Thanks,
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.